supposed to feel.
Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to NS9 Live. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, of course, we have Jim Rosati in Dallas. And we have remotely, there's Tyler in Ohio, where it's nice and cold, I'm sure. Ty, how's it going?
OH.
IO.
Losers. So,
Yep.
But no, live from the winter meetings.
Some people
here.
have a job.
I think we all have jobs.
Do we not have jobs?
Yeah, we all have jobs.
I know, but I had to give you guys a little bit of rub.
I will say this, Tyler. You would have enjoyed yourself this week.
Yeah,
just rubbing it in a little bit. You would have enjoyed yourself. Lots happening down here this week. Meeting up with a lot of people. Yeah, it was a busy few days here in Dallas, and now it's pretty much dead. Like this hotel's dead right now.
No, I just had to give you guys a little bit of crap here, but I feel like I would very much enjoy this entire atmosphere, and I'm glad you guys are having a good time and you're putting on a lot of good content.
Well, thank you for saying we're having a good time and lying about the content.
Hey, wow. I got to go down the slide. I think
you're putting out good content.
Today.
I don't know about a good time.
I got to go down the slide earlier today. That was like the one thing I wanted to do all week. Luckily, the Pirates did make a move, and yeah, I was able to go down the snow slide.
I honestly didn't think you were going to do it. I mean, I was really nervous. We didn't understand the stipulations of you going down the slide. I really wanted you to go down the slide, and the fact that the Pirates had to make a major league move for you to do it, I really didn't think it was happening. And we even talked. We're like, I mean, you're going down the slide, though, right? Like, we need to get this content. Regardless what happens, you're going to go down the slide, right?
I was going to do it anyways.
Luckily, Ben allows you to do it for the real and correct reasons.
As I was going down, I was just thinking, thank you, Spencer Horwitz. Yeah, the whole time.
If it wasn't for Luis Ortiz, you would never be down that slide.
So, Jim, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
How many times did you attempt to go down the slide before, like with it being closed, with the move not being good enough for you to go down the slide? Like, how many attempts were made?
Well, to answer your question, so early Tuesday evening, we got the news about Elvis
Alvarado, but
Alvarado. That's how important of a move it was, right? Now, Elvis Alvarado was the news early Tuesday night, and Ethan informed me that since it wasn't a guaranteed deal, it was a two-way deal, that it didn't count. So I didn't really get a chance to go down the slide then. And so we went to dinner Tuesday night. It was late. I think it was around 10 o'clock or so local time, 11 o'clock Eastern time. That's when the news of the Spencer Horwitz trade broke. And that's when I knew, all right, we're going down the slide. But then we got here today. I knew the slide didn't open until around 3 p.m. or so. So we went over there around 3:30 with the full intention to go down the slide. And it was closed. The slide was still closed. But luckily, it did open a little bit later in the day. We went over there. It was $10 to ride down the slide. So
which, by the way, a complete ripoff.
Well, here's the deal, though. For $10, you got unlimited slide rides. Like, it wasn't just for one slide. You got $10, all the slide rides you wanted. So,
so Jim went down once.
You could take really good advantage of that deal.
You know what? DiNardo said that was a ripoff. I think that's a deal.
It should just be free. Like, just go down the slide.
No. I mean, unlimited rides for $10. You can't do anything fun for $10 nowadays.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, like that's a slide that you see at Cedar Point.
I don't know about that. I don't know about
like maybe the junior point.
But no, it was very enjoyable. it was 10 out of 10. I would do it again. If the slide's open when we're on our way out, I may just hop on. I still have my wristband. It's a little crumpled up.
There's still time, Ben.
This is my all-you-can-ride slide ticket right here. Right here.
Can I ask, are you allowed to go face first?
No, so that was a rule. There were a few rules
Hate
in
that.
place. You had to be entirely sitting in the tube. You had to be feet first. You had to be holding onto the handlebars. I guess once they let you go, though, you could probably really do whatever you wanted at that point. They may not let you back on the slide again. But yeah, there were a few rules.
They're gonna pull Jim's slide credentials.
Yeah, I need to make sure I maintain my slide status.
Fair enough.
Anywho,
Let's do an ad read.
let's do that. So, BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds and in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA and college basketball, NHL to UFC, head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE, that is BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. So, Tyler, welcome to the winter meetings. Welcome to all the action. I mean, we haven't talked to you all week here, buddy. This is your chance to get on.
It's been
here.
great.
Should we air it out? Tyler the whole time was like, "Do I have to come on tonight?"
Yeah,
Doesn't make sense.
Tyler really didn't want to come on this show.
No, sure didn't.
But I was like, you know what? Everyone's just been listening to the two of us all week. They haven't gotten any of your opinions, Tyler. We need to know what Tyler thinks about the happenings down here.
If I could have a rebuttal there, people care about your two opinions. Nobody cares about Tyler's opinions on it.
That's not true.
Just in the group chat.
No.
But yeah, I mean, let's talk. I mean, a lot of stuff happened. Do we want to go in chronological order? Do we want to go just kind of most important to least important, or do we want to go least important to most important just to make sure everybody kind of stays till the end of the show? It's a marketing technique.
Jim's trying to play all you listeners. So let's do that. Let's start with the least important.
Okay.
And I guess that's Estevez, right? Mr. Estevez, Jim?
Well, actually, let's start off. So the first thing the Pirates actually did here in spring training was hire a new front office member.
Spring training, by the way.
Oh yeah, spring training, winter meetings. First thing they did in winter meetings was hire a new front office member, Michael Voltner. Michael Voltner, and he's going to be overseeing the scouting department. For the Pirates. He was plucked from the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's been working with them for 8 years. He was promoted 3 or 4 times. But I don't know. Like I said, not a whole lot that we know about these kinds of guys. I mean, they're not really a senior member of the front office. There is one interesting fact, but I'll get to that at the end.
Okay.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you even Google the guy, it's very tough to find anything on him. But in all reality, when you're looking at hiring front office members, getting someone from an organization like the Dodgers, you can't be mad about that, especially when you're coming from a large market team that's done small, that has a small market mindset. So, and we've seen it go poorly with some other guys that they've hired, but I don't know. Like, I don't want to overreact to anything they do in the front office. And I about you don't, but it's someone that comes from, so it's hard to complain about that. I guess that's where I come down to is if you're coming from, say, the Oakland Athletics, maybe I'm a little more concerned. Coming from the Dodgers, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's going to be a work in progress that we're not really going to see the results of in multiple years. As Chris is playing in the background.
Oh, there's some music.
Background.
I know. This is actually the real reason I wish I was there.
But to your point, when you are hiring people, you want to hire from organizations that have had success, right? So this is that. You don't really know much about this guy, But what you do know is he's been with the Dodgers for 8 years. They've liked him enough to promote him to 4 different positions within the organization. So yeah, I mean, you just kind of look at that and you say, okay, well, the Dodgers know what they're doing. They've promoted this guy 4 times. It's hey, I'll take it, right? On top of that, Tyler, I don't know if you know this, he's a Louisville grad.
Oh God,
University
I
of
hate
Louisville
this
class
guy
of
so
There it
much.
was.
University of Louisville class of 2014. So yeah, I mean, it's just an absolute home run hire by the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah, moving past that whole Louisville thing, we learned that night, and Jim just had to run with it the entire time. I'm over it, but whatever. Like, here's my side of it too. I'm with all of it. It's like the Tenenbaum thing. You know, he was with Cleveland, highly regarded, and we understand Cleveland's a good organization. Like, the fact that they're going after organizations that are held in high regard and plucking people from them is encouraging. Like you said, and we said before with the Tenenbaum news, like, you don't really know much about them. You can't look at this and just say, oh, this is a home run hire because of XYZ. All you can really do is like, hey, he was in this organization that was highly touted, and it seemed as if they liked him there, and he moved up there. Like, he's young, hungry, and he was moving up in there. It wasn't as if like he was in a good organization and they wanted to get rid of him, So it's like, if the good organizations looked at them and said, you're good people, that's all I need to feel pretty good about at this point in time. Jim's eyeballing me things. What's going on here?
Yeah, I just want to say shout out
damn.
real quick. Sean Hooper, Rob Nedley, Penn, awesome stuff. Thanks for the gifts. You guys rock.
You guys really do rock. Appreciate it. And memberships, gifted memberships. So other people get to enjoy the memberships and enjoy the emojis. Yeah, we added 2 more emojis in there. So if you're a member, check them out. Have some fun. And I think we get to add some more now.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, not to spend a ton of time on the hire, but I mean, you gotta kind of like what you know about it. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Obviously, scouting is a department that the Pirates could use some help in and could use some improvement in. So hopefully they get that.
Boom. So I guess next up, if you want to do the order of operations here, at least to most important, now is your boy in?
No, next up would have been Tuesday, MLB draft lottery. So Pirates had the 6th best odds to land the first overall
I
pick.
mean, that's kind of important.
I'm just going
Okay.
in chronological order right here. So on Tuesday, the MLB draft lottery, Pirates had the 6th best odds to get the first overall pick, and they end up getting the number 6 pick in the draft. So they basically just land exactly where they were expected to. So it's really hard to get too excited about that. It's hard to get too disappointed about that. But I guess you could say you're excited that you didn't get screwed out of the higher pick. And I guess if you want to say that. I also don't really like using that word because I saw some people saying that, oh, the Marlins got screwed, the Rockies got screwed. And it's like, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. You just win more games. Don't put yourself in the position to get screwed in the lottery, and you won't. So that's kind of my thought on anybody who's getting screwed by the lottery here. Yeah, just don't put yourself in the position that you're even in the lottery.
Yeah, I think that's a tough one to add more to because I think you just nailed it there, Jim. They're at a point where it's probably super fair to be 6th, and it's probably overly fair to be 6th because, truthfully, they shouldn't even be in the lottery anymore. If this was, in my opinion, done correctly, you can't stink as long as they have and be able to get a number 1 pick. So at number 6, I mean, there's still going to be really good talent there. And also it gives us more content, baby, because now on draft day, we get to sit here for an extra hour, chat about that number 6 pick, and we get to have some fun with it and just argue about whoever's in front of them getting some guy that we wanted that we've maybe watched 30 seconds of a highlight video on.
No, I'll say this. I agree with what Ryan said in the chat here. The Rockies did get screwed, and so did the Marlins, because in our strat league we talk about he's the Rockies and I'm the Marlins, and I was looking forward to getting number 1 overall pick, and I don't get that this year, damn it. So I have a personal grudge against this MLB draft. But Pirates related, again, yeah, like they draft 6. That's where they should have been. So they weren't really harmed. They didn't really help in that aspect. It is what it is.
Yeah, and I apologize for some background noise here. We are in a lobby of a hotel. This is the Hilton Anatole where the winter meetings are, and it's kind of dead here right now. Usually there's like some chatter that's kind of drowning out the music, but yeah, they've got some Christmas music going on. So hopefully it's not too distracting for
But
you
it's
guys.
not like I need NSYNC Happy Holidays.
Well, what I laugh about right now, thinking about this, is like YouTube's gonna like strike us as a copyright for music. It's like it's in the background. It ain't us.
That's true. Yeah, YouTube, please don't do that to us.
But no, it's funny. Like we're actually looking. Jim might say that's 4 feet away, but it's probably about 25 feet away. Is like where we do all the wrap ups. So like, when you hear all the wrap ups, this is the same area we're doing it in. I feel like because there's lack of noise, there's more background noise. It's kind of crazy, but
Yeah,
You
so
guys want me to sing? I can fill in.
yeah, let's do that.
Yeah,
That'll
kill all
we'll
the
do that.
copyright strikes for sure.
Right. All right. So this takes us to the real stuff, right? Like Tuesday evening is kind of when things got they got a little wild. Some more stuff came out today. So this is where we're going to spend the bulk of our time. Let's talk about Elvis Alvarado. Elvis Alvarado, relief pitcher, has been in the Miami system the last few years. Really good stuff. Signed to a 2-way deal. If you're not really entirely sure exactly what a 2-way deal means, it means he's going to get a 40-man roster spot, but he's not really guaranteed a contract right now. He can be taken off that 40-man spot between now and the beginning of the year. If he does that and he clears waivers, he will just it'll convert to a minor league deal essentially at that point. So he was signed late Tuesday evening. If you look at the numbers, lots of strikeouts. People really don't hit off of him because the stuff is really good, but he doesn't really know where he's throwing the ball. He walks a ton of batters, super high whip, but the opponent's batting average is good. The strikeout numbers are good. So he's just one of those guys where, like, you're getting him into the organization. He throws hard. He's got good stuff. You just hope that you can kind of catch lightning in a bottle and maybe help that command a little bit so that he can maybe give you something.
Yeah, I don't think it's something you can complain about. And guys that throw hard don't grow on trees. So I'd like to collect all of them, and that's an old Neil Huntington strategy, I think, where you just collect everybody that throws in the upper 90s. And especially this guy seems a little bit raw. If I'm correct, is he a converted outfielder?
yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's raw there. It's one of those moves that I think you're not necessarily betting on your development of pitching, but also you are betting on your development of pitching. And it's a challenge for some guys to, you have this thing that you can mold here. You don't really get to draft guys that throw in the upper 90s every day. So we believe in you guys. Let's see if something works here. And if not, I mean, we'll forget about it. And it's a guy that throws hard, and you never know. I'll collect all of them. It's like Jim with his trading cards. I'll collect every one of them.
Is he a Pokemon?
You got to catch them all.
Yeah, exactly. You just catch all the guys that throw like 99, 100.
Right. And like that's the thing with him. Like there's certainly arm talent there at the point of time. And again, this is like getting the Pirates fans' heads. Like I get it when Juan Soto's being signed, when all these players are being signed, you see this guy's with the Pirates, like, oh God, here we go, World Series, right? The parade, right? But like when you take it for what it is, I mean, there's nothing guaranteed about this. This is arm talent. We've said it time and time again, like, we have some trust in this team developing pitching and doing stuff. Now they have Brett Strom, like there's all the ingredients of we have what it takes to turn guys around, make guys, better pitchers and such. So when you have a guy like this who has some arm talent, just can't find the strike zone, walks everyone, but that has a lot of intriguing stuff. Yeah, take him on. There's no risk here. There's literally no risk here. If he's good, he's in the major leagues, and you found something, that diamond in the rough. And then if he's not, you'd lose nothing.
Yeah, I mean, quick scouting report. 25 years old. He'll be 26 when the season starts. He was a top 30 prospect for the Mariners. He was a top 40 prospect for the Tigers, at one point in time. I don't think he ever really made the Marlins top prospect list, but yeah, like I said, stuff is there. This season in AAA, he threw 48 and a third innings, 13.2 strikeouts per 9, 7.08 walks per 9. So lots of strikeouts, lots of walks, 2.79 ERA. I mean, like you said, this is it's a no risk. It's a no risk signing. So if you like him and he works out, you got something. If he doesn't, then you just DFA him and you didn't lose anything.
Honestly, if you're complaining about this, you're kind of silly. Like,
again, there's a lot of silly people out there. There are. Again, I understand it. But right, just to put some emphasis on it, like again, there's no risk. Like you take this because of the upside.
Right. Like,
Tyler, I mean, really, think about it. You're the one who, and I point this out, it's like you really stamp this. This is where you make your money, right? Finding these type of guys, throw in the bullpen just like this. So if he turns out to be something, like this is how you do it. It's how you build a really good bullpen, so kudos.
Again, it's
Nelson,
like collecting Pokemon.
Yeah, Nelson asks if he's a righty or lefty. He's a right-handed pitcher. What's that? Fastball, slider. Fastball touches like 101. So I mean, like, the stuff is really good.
But if he was a lefty, it wouldn't be this easy to get him.
Lefties who throw 101 don't sign minor league deals at age 20, 25. Yeah, that's you just kind of live with it at that point, right?
I'm still getting there, boys. We're like at 92. It's fine. We're getting there.
All right. So that's Elvis Alvarado. Now we're going to spend the bulk of our time listening to Tyler's thoughts on this next piece. So last night the Pirates it's a big move. It was probably one of the bigger trades that we saw down here in Dallas. Spencer Horwitz, first baseman, coming from the Cleveland Guardians to the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was just recently acquired by the Guardians from Toronto earlier that evening. But Spencer Horwitz going to Pittsburgh for Luis Ortiz, Michael Kennedy, and Josh Hartle. So, Tyler, DiNardo and I hopped on last night. We were live for about 40 minutes, giving our thoughts. We've had some time to sleep on it. We've talked to some people here today. We've talked to, we've had a chance to kind of just think about it and digest it a little more. So I don't know. We'll touch a little bit on it, but we haven't gotten your thoughts on this deal yet. So I guess just quick, what are your reactions to this trade?
Well, you guys said you slept on it, and I literally slept during it. And yeah, I woke up and saw all this about 5 a.m. But I guess initial reaction is it seemed a little bit steep. And I think Horwitz put up decent enough numbers that you would be comfortable getting him. Maybe not for what they gave up, but when you dig a little bit more into it, and I dug just a touch, but I'm actually okay with it. And I think that might be the most shocking thing I've ever said, is that I don't hate this trade at all. And the reason I say that is it's not so much on Horwitz. On my end, I'm looking at what they gave up here. And I know on Starbucks, a lot of times talk about Michael Kennedy. He was a big topic of conversation. Anthony loved the fella. Extension guy. What was his name? Hartley? Gosh.
Josh Hartle.
Josh Hartle. Good Lord.
Third round pick out of Wake Forest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Hart was the only thing coming to mind. That's more of a projectable arm, but also it's a wait and see kind of game. Luis Ortiz on the other end, I'm still stuck with him just being a swing man. I can't see much more with him. So when I go back to Horwitz here, the numbers he put up last year, you don't really see too much regression with him, I don't think. And I think you'd like to see a little more power. You wish you would have a guy that doesn't have the platoon splits that he has. But I think he's an absolute solid major leaguer from what I've seen, just watching video, looking at the stats, everything like that. We're not really seeing too much regression, I think, when you look at all that. So in general, I'm okay with it because if I can get an at least more than often everyday major leaguer, which I think he is, he's not going to hit against lefties. That's going to be what it's going to be. I'm okay with it. I would like to see more power there. It's not a move that really moves the needle for me. And truthfully, I'd prefer to just move Brian Reynolds first base, call it a day there. But when you get a productive hitter at the major league level for, in my opinion, two guys, one's a project, another one I don't really know if he has more of a ceiling than, say, a Bailey Falter, because I think Michael Kennedy is maybe a ceiling of a Bailey Falter, and Luis Ortiz, who's a swingman. I'm not really complaining. At the end of the day, we're looking at trading two guys that are maybe starters in a major league rotation. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, pretty good assessment in my opinion. But I mean, DiNardo, I know, like I said, we gave our thoughts last night. Has your opinion changed at all?
Like, it just really hasn't too much. You know, I feel like I've coped with it a little more, understanding. My opinion to this day still remains that I feel they overpaid. I feel like for that package, you could have got something that maybe we value as better. But again, if the Pirates look and that's the guy they want, and now it's kind of been clear known, like they've been wanting to get him for about 2 years now. So to me, that tells me that's the guy they want, right? So since that's the guy that they do want, they did what it took to get him. They couldn't get him from Toronto. Like, it took Cleveland to get a trade, and then the second they saw that happen, they're like, "Oh, knock knock, Cleveland, how can we get them?" And they're like, "Yeah, give us these 3 pitchers because we know we're Cleveland and we can turn them into something that's pretty good." And they said, "Here you go. Like, if that's what's going to take to get this done, because we want him, he is going to solve our first base problem. Do it." And that's where I feel like if that's what it takes, I'll side with them and say it's okay. I think it's too much for it, but that doesn't matter what we think. It's matter what they think. They got the guy they want. If it works out, then it's fine, right? If it doesn't, that's the problem, because you have an issue evaluating talents.
Yeah, I've got a couple numbers for everybody, and it starts with, this was obviously, first base was a position of need, right? If you look at the available free agents out on the market, two of them currently project for a higher WAR in 2025 than Spencer Horwitz projects for, right? And those two first basemen are Pete Alonso and Christian Walker. Those are the two. The Pirates weren't going to get either of those two guys, right? It just wasn't going to happen. So if you look at it that way, it's like, okay, if you're adding Spencer Horwitz as like an available first baseman, the Pirates got the third best first baseman available on the market, right? Better than any of the other first base options available in free agency as far as like just projection systems go. So that's point number one I wanted to make. Point number two, last year, Spencer Horwitz was pretty darn good. He had a 129 weighted runs created plus, almost played 100 games. So I don't want to say it was a full season, but it wasn't it wasn't like a super small sample size by any means. Like, it was over 350 plate appearances. He's got right around 500 plate appearances for his career, still under a year of service time. So he's got 6 years of team control. And listen, 129 weighted runs created plus last year, like, he would have been the best hitter on this team. Like, and you can think of that and say, all right, whose fault is that, right? Whose fault is it that would have been the case? But like, that's just the fact of the matter. Like, last year, you put Spencer Horwitz on the Pirates, he's one of your best hitters. You look to this year, he's projected for a 119 weighted runs created plus, so a little bit step back, a little bit of regression, but still pretty good. 119 weighted runs created plus projected for Spencer Horwitz, 115 weighted runs created plus by O'Neal Cruz, 114 by Brian Reynolds. So as of this moment, the Pittsburgh Pirate hitter with the highest projected offensive statistics for 2025 is Spencer Horwitz. So you give up Luis Ortiz, who honestly, I think he overperformed, what we all expect him to really be last year. I don't think he's going to put up another season that good ever again. If he does, kudos to him. Kudos to Cleveland, their development team. I don't think he's that guy. So you're adding a bat like that. You're not adding any money to your payroll. You give up a starting pitcher that's already a strength of your team. You can replace that production with somebody else. Johan Oviedo, for example, who's coming back. And you just added, again, one of the better hitters to your team. So the more and more I look at this, the more and more I actually like this trade. And like I said, the fact that they don't have to spend any money on it just means that that's more money they can spend addressing corner, outfield, and bullpen.
Yeah. Like, I want your thought on this too, because again, like my thought with Luis Ortiz, and that's why I felt like, and I guess we're kind of hearing your thought on this, but like with Luis Ortiz, I think he'd be a valuable like back end guy. Like I feel like this is a guy who can give you innings. Like he's built to give you innings for sure. And he's not going to do it the sexy talented way. He's going to do it. This isn't a knock, obviously, but like more like the Mitch Keller. Like he's going to give you innings. He's going to get out there and he could easily be like a 2-WAR pitcher that's going to give you 150 innings a year and such. And again, like there's a lot of value in that. And I think is stuff with Luis Ortiz. Like he improved on his fastballs last year. I mean, like he goes to Cleveland. Like he could have been a success story for like Brent Strom even further this year. Like I think there's some unlocked stuff with him. It's like when you say he'll never be as good as he was this year, like I think that's true. But I also don't think that he has to be as good as he was this year to still be good. And so, like, again, that's to me, like, with that package, those two guys, I felt it was a bit overpaid. But, like, again, I kind of want your viewpoint on Luis Ortiz, Mr. Pitching Yenza. Like, is there more to Luis Ortiz in there?
I mean, I think we all believe there is more with him, which is why we hung on to the Luis Ortiz idea as long as we did. And it's because of what he did those last, 4 starts a couple of years ago, where he was absolutely electric. We have not seen that same guy in a very long time. And that's not to say that he couldn't recapture that momentum, because we saw him turn more into a pitcher this year. He was able to actually get guys out by using more than just a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. We saw him be able to locate well. We saw a little bit of effective wildness. I don't know if I'm as fearful of him going elsewhere and becoming a, say, Clay Holmes as I was before. I do think that Luis Ortiz is who he is at this point. He's a little bit of a big-bodied pitcher. Like, he's gonna not get the swings and misses that I think we all hoped he would. He doesn't have that. He just doesn't have that top of the rotation stuff. The slider's great. The fastball when it's on is good, but also you just still get that feel that he's a swingman type of guy that I think you can find more often than it's not that often. That's false, but it's hard to find guys that throw that hard. But you can find those guys. And I don't think we've seen the Luis Ortiz that we'd hoped to have seen a couple years ago. Turned into a solid major leaguer, which I don't know if we thought he would turn into. I'm just, I think I hadn't given up on Luis Ortiz, but I just am stuck to the point that he's a swingman type of role where he's just going to have to do that 3-inning stuff as a long reliever, and I can't foresee him turning into essentially Clay Holmes. That's the fear. Now, a big old circle back and back and back. Because I've been back and forth in this in my brain with Luis Ortiz. I don't know who he is.
Yeah, I think Luis Ortiz is just, I think he's a swingman, right? I think he's a very capable back-end starter. Like if that's where you need him to be, I think he also can really excel in the bullpen if that's where you need him to be. We saw him perform both roles last year, and he performed them both really well. I think he was more effective in the bullpen, but when he was starting, he was also pretty darn effective last year, which again, like I brought up this point last night, like if we would have told you that we were trading Luis Ortiz and a couple of mid-level prospects for a guy who was projected to be our best hitter in 2025, you would have taken that 10 out of 10 times, right? So that's I kind of keep going back to Luis Ortiz had a really good season last year. By doing that, it put the Pirates in a position where they could do this. They could go out there and they could use him to go out and get a bat, something that they desperately need. And again, I'm not saying Horwitz is any sort of needle mover, but he's going to go to a position that roughly put up like -1 WAR last year. If Horwitz just does what he did last year and puts up 2 WAR, that's a 3-win improvement at first base, and you spent no money, right? Whereas with Ortiz, I think you could replicate his performance last year. You've got a lot of options to do that, not only with Oviedo coming back, but also with Bubba Chandler waiting in the mix. Like, Bubba Chandler's going to be in this rotation at some point in 2025, hopefully sooner rather than later. So like the depth is still there with the starting pitching staff. And the reason why you were excited for this pitching depth was so that you could do something like this. You could make a trade and go out there and address one of your holes in another spot.
You know what, Jim, you mentioned you thought that he would be very well suited for the bullpen role, but we talked about this on post-game shows where we thought he would be more of that electric guy we saw before in the bullpen, and we didn't see that from him. And we really didn't see him as a starter either be that electric guy. So I don't know if I fully believe that he's a guy that can be a back-end bullpen type of arm. And that's where I come back to, I don't know who Luis Ortiz is. Can someone else unlock it with him? He's been through a lot of pitching coaches, so I don't know. But I'm okay giving him up, and I think they got a decent enough bat that I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah. Okay. And like what I want to add in here too, and I want to preface this also, I'm not poo-pooing the trade. Like, this isn't me like hating the trade, right? Like, again, I'm fine with it, but I just want to make sure I add some perspectives that kind of bother me. Just because of the fact that you can replace him, I just want to make sure, like, we understand too, doesn't mean you can take pennies on the dollars, because I think they can replace him. That's why you want to go ahead and trade from the strength of the pitching depth, right? But just because you can replace him, to take pennies on the dollar doesn't make it a win, because, well, we can replace that and you upgrade first base. Like, you still want to have an even trade. So again, like that's just what bothers me. And I feel like we kind of cope with things in that sense. Well, it's okay to lose him because you can replace him and you gain this. But if you're giving away $1 and getting 75 cents, you still lost out on it. Like, you could have gone and gained $1 first baseman and not a 75-cent first baseman. And again, like, that's just kind of where I'm at with this. That's, again, my viewpoint. All that really matters is what happens going forward. If they believe in it and it happens and he does become a 115 weighted runs created plus hitter, like type, and even though it's just a platoon, but if he does what like the projections are showing, then it's good and it worked out and it's fine. My biggest thing was like, there's just uncertainty with this, and that's what I had a little bit of an uneasiness with me to it. So again, that's really mad. But ultimately, again, when it comes down to it, it's not as if they got fleeced. It's not that they got this 27-year-old that's never reached the majors and never had any success, or he did reach the majors and he failed it, but you got to cope and talk to yourself how well he can do this or could. Like, it's limited time, but in that limited time, like we talk about too, if you only have small sample size, you want to see good in that small sample size, right? Well, he did, right? It's 400 plate appearances, less than 450 in the major, something like that. And it's been good over the past 2 years of those limited times. So, and nothing about the advanced metrics appear to be this is fake, buyer beware. It seems to match up. But again, the next part is, like I talked today on TikTok, and I'll talk it here. It's what's the next move? That is what I do like about this in that sense. They are able to trade away a strength, right? Acquire something that was a weakness for basically no money movement, right? So that budget's still there, so they can tack other needs that they need in full force.
Yeah, I mean, they're not done, right? They're not done yet. There's still other moves to be made, and this sets them up nicely for those other moves. They didn't have to really deal any of their top level prospects. They didn't have to spend any money. So they're in a position where if they need to move a higher tier prospect, they can. If they need to add to the payroll, they can. So I think where my difference is with what you're saying, DiNardo, is I look at Horwitz, I think a little bit. I like him. I think there's something there. I think he's shown that he can hit right-handed pitchers, and that's where you're going to play him. He's going to start 110 to 120 games a year. He's going to get 500 plate appearances, 450, 500 plate appearances. And if he can give you, like I said, not even the same production as last year, because last year was really good, 129. If he can give you that, then hell yeah. But even if he gives you just 90% of that or 85% of that, that's still a pretty darn good hitter, and it's better than most everybody in our lineup. And it's someone that, like, you weren't gonna get one of those guys at first base. Like, you're probably, like, if we were gonna go out there and sign a first baseman, the best one we were gonna get was Carlos Santana, right? And realistically, Carlos Santana, if he has his best season probably possible next year, you're looking at a 110 weighted runs created plus guy. Now, he can play every day. He's not a platoon player, but so that's where the value is. But like, I think Horwitz can put up better production than that and do it for a lot less money. Now, the problem is finding, all right, who are you going to have face the lefties, or are you going to have Horwitz face a few lefties here and there? But I think it's just, I think my difference between you and just my thoughts is I like Spencer Horwitz. I don't love him, but I like him. I think he can be a pretty good ball player.
And I like him. I just want to say I do like him. Just maybe not to the level that others might. Go ahead, Tai.
No, so I think to get on DiNardo's page here, I do think it was a little bit of an overpay. Because it's a little bit strange that he gets dealt from the Blue Jays to basically take on a giant Jimenez contract that, I mean, I guess defensively is worth it, but he can't hit. So I guess my question there would be, why not just make that trade to the Blue Jays straight up? Or is Yandy Diaz really that expensive? Like, if we're going to kind of split hairs here, I think if we're splitting hairs, it's more about, it's not a complaint about Horwitz. It's more of what you had to give up to get him. I like him being here from everything I've seen to this point. I just don't know if you had to do as much as they did to get him.
So let me throw this at you, Tyler, because big picture, and again, this is kind of what I've been alluding to. It's not the extreme, and Tyler, I talked to you about this because we were on the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this kind of also felt like years of control opposed to impact, like the Brian De La Cruz. But again, this is not a comparison. Like, I don't want to put them in the same sense. He is not Brian De La Cruz, but it's, wouldn't you have felt better if they used this package for maybe someone who might have cost a little more, right? But it might have been just 2 or 3 years, but that was the known commodity. That was the impact bat. Let's go get that guy because he's a dude, opposed to let's get him. He's very controllable. There's still a lot of unknowns with him. Like, you think he's going to be good. So let me present that to you, Tyler. Like, would you have rather had, again, a Yandy? Put out a Yandy out there. I think that would have been too much to get a Yandy, though. But like that type of a player. Maybe he got that type of player for 2, maybe 3 years, opposed to this. How would you have felt?
Yeah. So, I mean, just you brought up, well, I brought up Yandy, you brought up Yandy. But in that case, I think maybe an Ortiz for Yandy gets the job done. I don't know if it does for sure, but maybe it's more of a, you just throw someone else in, not someone a little more, someone that's not as projectable as Hardo is. But I would have probably been more comfortable going with a Yandy Diaz type of guy, just because I believe in him a little bit more as an impact kind of player. My concern here, again, and I go back to it all the time, is we look at their numbers where they are right now. I don't believe in this team's ability to make hitters better, or to, at the very least, not make them worse, because they haven't done that yet. So that's where, when we get into Horwitz, that's where I get a little concerned that God only knows what this team's going to do with him. And I know they made changes in the organization, but until I see those changes actually come to fruition and guys start to get better, I'm still going to hang on to being worried about it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, I think it's absolutely fair to be worried about anyone who comes into this organization. I wouldn't fault anyone for thinking that. And that's why it does make a little bit more sense to get somebody more established, because you just trust them a little bit more. Yes, comparing Horwitz to Brian De La Cruz, not fair. Brian De La Cruz has never done what Spencer Horwitz did in 2023 at all. So we're not really comparing like players. I think the Yandy Diaz thing, like it goes back to the money. Like you have to also remember you got to remember what this team's budget is, whether we like it or not. This team's not going to spend $130 million this year. They might spend 100. And if you get Yandy Diaz, that ups your payroll to $83 million. You sign Andrew McCutchen, there's $88 million. And then you only have $12 million to go out there and address a corner outfield spot and probably at least one, maybe two lefty relievers, and then probably one more reliever. So then you're looking at spreading $12 million out over 4 people. Guess what happens when you spread $12 million out over 4 people? You get 4 bad players. Like that's how it works. So you've got to kind of think of it that way. Like yeah, Yandy Diaz, more of a sure thing. But $10 million next year, $10 million this year, $12 million next year, and a club option for Diaz. Yeah, if you give up the same, you feel better about the immediate future. But then there's still a whole lot of other things you need to do to make this team better that Yandy Diaz doesn't solve. So it's kind of more just like, hey, what would you rather do? Would you rather have the Pirates get Yandy Diaz and then have $12 million to spend over 4 roster spots? Or would you rather get them Spencer Horwitz and now you have $22 million to spend over 4 roster spots? So it's just, you're going to get a better caliber other players going this route as opposed to if you went the Diaz route.
Yeah, that's a really good point you brought up, Jim. Like, I have nothing more to add on that.
Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, and I guess, and this is the keep going
That's
back
a good
and forth
thought.
on this in a sense, but again,
I can't believe
is,
I'm giving you credit for anything ever.
You like this trade because it's $0, and now you have like that $20 million to go after someone, right? So you're probably going to go after a $10 million guy, right? What's that trade going to be? So if that's an even trade, like if you overpay for this guy because he's cheap, and then you go and spend dollar to dollar on the other guy, you still overpaid for both. Where like if you appropriate value was Yandy, and you have that true impact bat who's really going to do some damage, and you only have $10 more million to do it, but maybe go less, like maybe you make another trade for a controllable, cheaper option, and that's fair value, right? Like you've given up less prospect capital to acquire the same thing overall. We're going,
it
again,
all depends on what they do
trying
next,
to go that deep,
right? Like,
but again, that's just where I'm at.
Yeah, it all depends what they do next. Like, you got to kind of look at this deal as like this is the first piece of the puzzle. This is the first domino to fall. What's next, right? And if what's next is good, then this ends up working out. If what's next isn't what we think it needs to be, then there's going to be a problem. Like they need to up payroll. They need to add to this team. And they've said over and over again that they do need to add to this team. So I think they understand what they need to do. Now it's just a matter of going out there and executing their plan.
So what is next? I mean, what are your kind of thoughts right now? Because again, this trade has happened. We've talked about this back and forth right now. Our thoughts, right? It's done. Moving past this now, right? The dollars are there. You know what this team needs to do. Like they still need corner outfielder. There's some options. Like what is next? What do you anticipate this team maybe doing?
I think a trade's next. I think that makes the most sense to go out there and get an impact bat via a trade, whether that's trading another starting pitcher, which I would rather them not do at this point, because I think if you trade another starting pitcher, then you're kind of taking that area of strength and turning it into more of a weakness. So like there was a report that came in. We'll get into the report today, but the Pirates were listening to offers and saying that Jared Jones was, quote, very available, right? If Jared Jones is very available, then the return better be very good. And same with Mitch Keller too. Like we've seen in this free agency market, the value that starting pitchers are commanding. Teams are giving starting pitchers, even just mediocre ones, crazy contracts. So if either of those two pitchers are available, the return better be like knock you out of your seat type stuff. That's why I don't see that happening. I think if the Pirates are going to make another trade, they're going to deal from their prospect capital more than their major league ready guys, just because Cherington again said today that he doesn't want to take that strength and make it a weakness. And when you trade somebody like Keller or Jones, then your depth's gone. Like you're now just hoping that the guys that you have are the guys that you have. If something happens to someone or one or two of them, which always happens, right? Like you don't get through a whole season with 5 starting pitchers. It takes 9, right, to get through a whole year. So if you take that depth away, then you're just adding another problem. So I really don't think the Pirates are going to trade another starting pitcher, but they've got prospects to trade. And maybe there's someone out there who they can get from a hitting standpoint, corner outfield bat to do that. Or, worst case scenario, maybe you're signing like a Max Kepler, which again, not a needle mover, but he fills the need. But that would be plan C or D for me.
I mean, so like you go back to Horwitz, he's not a needle mover. But if you collect enough of these types of guys that are major league caliber players, and to go back to what you said about the reports that came out dealing from the position of strength that the major league rotation has, I'd rather just go out and get a bunch of those guys that are major league caliber players and continue to go with what I've said for a long time, that you have the hard part figured out. You've got the 3 dudes in your rotation right now that can go win you a playoff series. Let's not make it more difficult here by moving any of those guys. And I don't really think they listen much more than maybe just picking the phone up and hearing a offer. I can't foresee any of those guys going anywhere. But you have that part figured out. You've got that playoff rotation right there. Solidify the rest of the group with some major league caliber players. Max Kepler doesn't move the needle. Horwitz doesn't move the needle. But you collect enough of these guys at a rate that doesn't really break a budget. I think you've got very close to a playoff caliber team. And once you get in, anything can happen when you've got Paul Skeens, Jared Jones, and Mitch Keller in the rotation.
Yeah, I'll just say this is very interesting because I think what this offseason does present itself, and I said before, there's a lot of holes in this team. But with a lot of holes, creates a lot of opportunities to get creative. When you have the strength of the pitching depth, you can use this to get players, right? And they did with Luis Ortiz. Now, I'll say this. To trade away another one, especially like of a Mitch Keller pedigree, that's a lot of risk. The one thing about Mitch Keller is I feel like he stabilizes. Like, Paul Skeens he's a Cy Young candidate. He's your top dog. He's your ace, one of the best pitchers in baseball. Let him go. Now, after that, there's Jared Jones. Lot of things to love about Jared Jones. And what I do think this is kind of like my Luis Ortiz talk too, but he's on a whole much level. Like, you want to poo-poo about Luis Ortiz and what he was, but I think there's still stuff there to come. Jared Jones, I know there's a lot of people that are kind of poo-pooing Jared Jones as well, and like, we'll trade him now as his highest point ever, because he's not really this good. He doesn't have a third pitch. This is a guy who I think can easily develop a third pitch. I mean, he worked on the changeup. The changeup was looking better last year. The biggest thing we talk about with is the Brent Strom hiring. Like him and Oscar, I feel complement each other very well. Oscar's been very much of like the slider guy, and Brent Strom's been very much like the curveball guy. Look what he's done to Garrett Cole, and Charlie Morton, right? Some success stories that came from Pittsburgh, what he did with him. So it's like putting Jared Jones with Brent Strom now, like there's a lot of untapped potential with him. He could be very, very good. So yeah, there's risk that he's not going to be that type of guy, but like he could be really good. You have Bubba Chandler in there, and then there is Falter. There is Burrows. You know, you have this whole list of guys. I can absolutely be talked into trading Mitch Keller. Again, there's a lot of risk. But what I'll say is with this risk, I think there's a lot of reward. Because if you're trading a Mitch Keller for a Mitch Keller caliber hitter, okay, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I want to emphasize here. Like when Noah was talking his stuff today about his report, you know, with you, Jim, and if you guys haven't watched it, go to our day 3 recap. You know, he tried to emphasize this too. It's not that they're trying to trade Mitch Keller to just simply shed payroll, right? Take on prospects. They lose $17 million. It's saying, hey, we can use these $17 million that we're going to give to him and the talent of Mitch Keller to get a quality bat. And then you still have all that money, right? You talk about the $20-some million in free agency you still have $20 million that you can go after. So if you get another top bat, right, a Mitch Keller caliber bat in return, and you still have $20 million to play with, maybe you can attack and get another starting pitcher. It's not going to be someone that's good, but like a back end to give you at least some depth, because you have the talent of Paul Skeens, the talent of Jared Jones, the talent of Bubba Chandler, right? Harrington's the miss, Ashcraft, Burrows. Like you still have a lot of depth, a lot of good, talented depth, and you get someone who can just kind of maybe stabilize this on a cheaper deal. I think you can kind of cook with that. So I'm not advocating to trade Mitch Keller. I would rather him be here, but I can absolutely be entertained in the idea of trading Mitch Keller if it's the right move.
I think it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Then I know it's good.
I think it's so incredibly stupid
Yes.
to even entertain trading Mitch Keller that it makes me want to pound my head through this drywall again. Because if we're going to get down this rabbit hole, just trade IKF and trade Brian Hayes if you really want to shed some payroll and go sign someone worth a damn.
Well, they should trade IKF as well, because he should not be the starting shortstop.
Well, again, but no, you don't find Mitch Kellers that grow on trees. We're talking Paul Skeens, who coming off a rookie year, who's just absolutely incredible, but you still don't know about the arm health. Jared Jones is a big question mark with the arm health. Mitch Keller's proven it time and time again. I know he's a 4-year ERA guy, but you need a dude that's going to go out there and eat 170 innings that are going to be really quality innings. And what are you going to get back for him that's worth it? You're going to be looking for your next Mitch Keller. You're going to spend your entire offseason trying to find another innings eater that's not going to be as good. There's enough payroll you can shed somewhere else that it makes no sense to even entertain it. And if Ben Sherrington's even had that thought cross his mind, then it's time to move on from the fella.
I mean, Tyler, you put it a little bit more eloquently than me, maybe. Yeah, I'm not trading Mitch Keller. Like, I'm not, unless I'm blown away, right? Like, you've got to be blown away in a return for Mitch Keller. He's just simply too valuable. He's too valuable. We talked about how much money pitchers like him get. Pitchers like Mitch Keller, if Mitch Keller were a free agent today, what would his sign? What would he get? Like, what would Mitch Keller get on the open market today as a free agent?
I mean, Eovaldi got 3 years, $75 million.
Eovaldi got
what, 34 years old?
Yeah, Eovaldi got 3 years, 70. Mitch Keller's probably getting like a 6-year, $150 million deal, right? If he were a free agent today. So like the value that he presents to the Pirates by having him on the contract that they have him on is exorbitant. It's exorbitantly high value having Mitch Keller on your team with the money that you're paying him. And so, yeah, like if you're not blown away in a Mitch Keller trade offer, then you're just saying, yeah, no, thanks. Now I'm okay with listening to offers. Like if somebody wants to blow me away with the Mitch Keller trade offer, let them. But like it's going to have to blow me away. And I just don't see, I said, we just don't really see those types of trades anymore. We don't really see a lot of trades that just kind of blow you away. So yeah, I'm with you, Tyler. I think it's dumb. I think it's dumb to just like look to be trading the guy because the value is way too high for a team like the Pirates. The reason why you signed him to the extension that you signed him to is so that you could have a pitcher like him for the value that you're getting. So yeah, the only way The only way I'm trading Mitch Keller is if somebody wants to just knock my socks off.
It's one of those moves you make on MLB The Show where you just sign a guy for a cheap deal and then try to get a bunch of prospects back. You don't do it in real life. It's stupid.
But again, it's not prospects. You're not doing this to get prospects back.
Well,
And that's the difference.
Probably would.
Like, if you can get that thumper and it costs you Mitch Keller, and you have that thumper, but again, now you have $20 million more, and now you can maybe get that shortstop too. And you trade IKF. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm alluding to here.
Or you
This
could
gives you
just
some
move on
options.
from IKF and Cabrian Hayes, who are doing nothing.
Well, you're not
productive
moving off from Cabrian.
I mean,
Why do you keep entertaining this? No one is trading for Cabrian Hayes.
I mean, they've traded for worse.
No, I don't think
mean,
anybody's
they
trading. I don't. I mean, he's not.
Not with
like,
that contract.
he doesn't. I don't know if he can stand or walk or right now. Like, I mean, he'd fail any physical like in
Yeah,
a
the
trade.
Pirates
Like,
might have to
yeah,
actually
he's-
eat some of that contract. They might
Yeah,
actually have to throw Cabrian Hayes into that Mitch Keller deal.
yeah, like I don't see that happening. Now, if I am like, I'm okay with trading Mitch Keller for prospects, to be honest with you, if they're like insanely good prospects, and then spending that money to go out there and get a real bat, right? Like,
Nope.
if you're trading
Nope.
Mitch Keller for prospects, I'm going out there and I'm signing Anthony Santander. Like, that's what I'm talking about. But again, I would have to be absolutely blown away. Also, shout out to both Mark and Matt for their memberships. Thanks, guys.
Not dealing.
There's nice. I'll interject here. But you say, like, go against Santander. That's what that allows you to do. You know, like, again, like, that's what that allows you to do. I don't see the prospects coming back, but like, you're getting a bat probably similar to Santander. Like, what if you're able to trade Keller to get that type of bat in a trade? Like, you're not signing him. Like you say, prospects, and I think I'll be more upset if they go after prospects. Again, like, it has to be a baseball move. You talked about there's not enough baseball moves. This has to be a baseball move. I'm not doing it for prospects. I'm doing it because I know what I have, right? You're getting prospects back, and you're saying, let's go after and sign Santander. But, like, unless Santander's agreeing to that right now. I mean, I think he's going to the Yankees or someone else.
Oh, I mean,
right?
I wouldn't do this with
You
just
have
like
to
the
then.
hope.
I'm saying
it would
you're
be like,
doing this
like we've got the deal done.
anticipating another move to happen once again. I need that move to happen with this deal.
I mean, either way, like, I don't see the difference between acquiring someone of Anthony Santander's caliber and just signing Anthony Santander. Like, they're the same to me. So if you can free up the money to sign Anthony Santander instead of just trading for somebody like Anthony Santander, you know, it's all the same. It's all the same to me. And if you can collect prospects while doing it, then go for it. Like, I'm fine with that. But again, like, you got to be blown away. Like, when I mean prospects, I'm meaning like trading the Boston Red, like you're getting a Roman Anthony type guy. Like, that's what I'm meaning by blowing my socks off here. So, I just don't see that happening.
I'm glad you said socks, because I was going to say you need to blow something else off. Like, I'm not dealing Mitch Keller unless, like, you shock the living hell out of me with what you're offering. And yeah, sure, you listen on it, but I'm not even letting that get leaked that I listened on it. Him or Jared Jones, to be honest with you, neither of them I'm not moving. Because, again, the hard part's done. You've got the pitchers that everybody is trying to get. Be better at getting hitters without giving up your actual 3 dudes that can win you a playoff game or a playoff series.
And to kind of like just to sorry, DiNardo, I'll get to you in a second, but just some comments like Mike saying, yeah, there's zero chance you're getting Roman Anthony for Keller. I understand. That's why I'm saying I'm not trading Mitch Keller, because I'm not trading him unless that's the type of return. And then Mark saying, why are you talking about a proven bat? Like, it's not going to cost a lot more. Like that. Again, that's why I'm not doing this. I'm talking about hypothetical situations here that aren't going to happen, because this isn't something I would do. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear. Like, this isn't something that's realistic that the Pirates should do.
And I just want to talk again, like your comment here, Tyler, because again, like, this is what bothers me. Like, you suck at developing hitters, just do that. Well, the problem is they can't. They haven't. So how do you solve that? You can't solve it by saying just do it. They haven't. So this is going to present an opportunity of band-aiding that problem and saying, well, hey, we allowed some other team to develop them. We're making a trade to get that hitter, and now that hitter's in here because we have failed to develop it, That's how you make this team better. And again, sounds like I'm trying to advocate this. I'm not, but this is why I'm entertained. They have a problem. They can't develop hitting. They don't have any hitters. They all stink at hitting. It's terrible. So how do we fix it? Because we've done the other side really, really well. Well, if this presents an opportunity to bring in a major league caliber player that you know is going to go in the middle of that lineup, then that's an opportunity. And now you still have $20 million plus to use in free agency again. So you can keep adding to that, or you can supplement it with some other pitchers as well. You can divvy out for the, relieving and stuff. Like that gives you some more flexibility to do and entertain a lot of opportunities to improve on. Again, it's risky, but there's high reward in there, because if Jared Jones turns out to be that guy and Brent Schaum turns around and he is a really good pitcher and Bubba Chandler just takes next level, and you have 3 really top dudes in there. And we're not even talking about, again, with like Michael Burrows and Harrington that's down there, and again like Bailey Falter, like Oviedo coming back as well, another one. Like there's risk that those 5 can still be really, really, really good without Mitch Keller. But Mitch Keller also gave you a bat that you couldn't even envision or fathom acquiring without trading him.
I think this just goes back to what I was saying. Like, I don't see that bat being available. Like let me just throw this hypothetical. Would you trade Mitch Keller for Wilyer or Brave?
No.
Okay.
But
who else is there?
What you're doing right now is telling me I'm going to trade that bat for whatever. I'm not trading him unless that bat is available. So again, if that bat's not available, I'm not trading him.
We're
I'm
literally
not
all
advocating
saying
to
the
trade
same
him.
exact
But if that
thing.
becomes available,
I think we're kind of all on the same page here.
We're not dealing him unless it's like blow your socks off.
well, you
like
just
Jim
said you're not even entertaining it. You said
Well-
it's dumb to entertain it. I will entertain it, because if I can get that bat, a Mitch Keller caliber bat in return, I might do it.
I mean, we have
You said you're
different
not even
definitions.
going to
by the
entertain
way.
that.
Like, I'm sure, like, go ahead and call me on it, but I'll laugh in your face unless you're actually coming to me with something that, okay, now I'll listen. But I go back to the Marlins again, where they were dealing from their position of strength, and then we saw how quickly that changed. That can happen. How many times have we seen it over and over again, where there's all this pitching depth, and then all of a sudden you snap the finger, it's gone. So I prefer to keep as much as that as humanly possible. And dealing your actual workhorse, I'm really not that interested in doing so.
Yeah. Same.
Cool. So, yeah, like outside of that, was there really anything else we want to discuss and talk about? That pretty much wraps up a lot of the news that happened.
Yeah, I mean, outside that, just some quick things. Maybe that you can pretty much see everything else that happened today in our day 3 recap. But Roll 5 draft was today. No Pirates were taken. They didn't take anybody. Nothing of really all that significance in the minor league phase of the Roll 5 draft either. I mean, outside that, just Hunter Stratton looks like he may be available by spring training, which is surprising. So that could be a potential reliever for you going into the year that you weren't really expecting to have. He's back on a minor league deal. Oh, and then one more thing too that no one is talking about, how significant of a move this is for the Pittsburgh Pirates. But it came across the wire yesterday. Minor league deal. Nick Solak. Nick Solak is a Pittsburgh Pirate, Tyler. What are your thoughts on that? Because not enough people are talking about Nick Solak.
Where did he go to college?
And there it is.
Nick Solak is from Louisville. Second round pick.
I only care about Kentucky, guys.
Second round pick. Versatile player.
Go Cats.
He can hit the ball a little bit. He's he's got like a 90 weighted runs created plus for his career. Can play around the diamond. He's due for a breakout, though. He's due for a breakout of a year. I'm just saying. Pay attention. Pay attention to Nick Solak. Give the dude some respect.
To
Big
be
Blue.
fair, you said what was his career weighted runs created plus?
It's like 90.
So about the 6th best hitter last year.
Yeah. Slot him into the cleanup spot. Might as well.
That's
Yeah.
actually fair.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care about anybody that went to Louisville. Except for
What about the new VP of scouting?
Yeah, don't care about him either. Where'd he get his masters? He had to have gone somewhere else.
He did actually.
He did. He did. University of Virginia.
Well, there we go. Go Cavaliers. Great hire right there.
Yeah, they corrected all the bad habits.
Exactly.
Well, Louisville it sets you up for success, just like Nick Solak's going to have in 2024.
Well, I mean,
2025.
Hey, Virginia had to pull a little bit of Ray Searage, little reclamation project we have from Louisville, but they got them figured out. So, you know what? I'm buying in again.
Let's go.
We've already talked way too much about Nick Solak. So what's next?
I think it's time to go.
It's time to go.
Time to go.
It is officially 9:17 here in Dallas. Yeah, so this is the winter meetings. It's pretty much all wrapped up. Everyone's on the plane if they're not home already. So that's it for us here in Dallas. We'll be leaving tomorrow. What we got going on? We got tons of content. If you haven't already, again, look back. Day 1, day 2, day 3. We had a Q&A with Alex Stump. We get so much stuff. So
tons and tons of stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a day 1 recap, a day 2 recap, a day 3 recap. There's an emergency podcast on Horwitz. There's a live Q&A where we took questions from you guys and asked them to Alex Stump earlier today. Are we doing the point on Friday?
Yes.
Point on Friday coming up. So stay tuned for that.
Yep. So do all the fun things. Go ahead, like, subscribe. Everyone that's in the chat, giving all the memberships, the donations, all that. Like, you guys are actually the real MVPs. We appreciate you all as always. And I'll update some more emojis because you got some more coming. So, but yeah, with that said, we'll be back. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Peace out, Scouts.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.